Charles Feldman, US political commentator. I think, Charles, a very good morning to you. If anybody had asked you back in sort of November when Donald Trump won the election with Elon Musk jumping around on the stage and being his chief cheerleader, if somebody had said to you, how long do you think this will last? You'd probably gone, I don't know, about 6 months. And here we are.
Yeah, good morning, Mike. Yeah, it's about right. I don't think anyone thought that these two gigantic egos, Elon Musk and Donald Trump, would be able to coexist in the same, pretty much same spot for too long a period of time. But having said that, I don't think anyone would have, in their wildest imagination, thought that it would end, if it has ended, in the spectacular way that it has. This has got to be, Mike, one of the best tabloid stories in probably decades.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. Let's have a look at what happened in happier times. This was only 5 days ago. Elon Musk praising Donald Trump.
And I'll continue to be visiting here and be a friend and advisor to the president, and I look forward to times being back in this amazing room. By the way, isn't this incredible? Look at this incredible. I mean, it's stunning. I think the way that the Oval Office, how the president has just completely redone the Oval Office. It's beautiful. That's it, really. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Great job.
And that was Elon Musk, of course, sort of saying goodbye, saying that, I was only ever going to be in for 100 and odd days, and now my time is up and my work is done, and I'll continue to be helpful, and that's all fine. Here's Donald Trump yesterday asked about the criticism from Elon Musk.
You saw a man who was very happy when he stood behind the Oval desk, and even with the black eye, I said, do you want a little makeup? We'll get you a little makeup. But he said, no, I don't think so, which is interesting. And very nice. He wants to be who he is, so you could make that statement too, I guess. Look, Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we're well anymore. I was surprised because you were here. Everybody in this room practically was here as we had a wonderful send-off. He said wonderful things about me. You couldn't have nicer. Said the best things. He's worn the hat. Trump was right about everything. And I am right about the great, big, beautiful bill. We call it a great, big, beautiful bill because that's what it is. But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem, and he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate because that's billions and billions of dollars. And when that was cut, and Congress wanted to cut it, he became a little bit different, and I can understand that.
I mean, Donald Trump there, Charles, being relatively restrained, it seems. But he's saying, I don't know why he doesn't like the bill anymore, the great big beautiful bill. I was saying to Tom Slater earlier, isn't it brilliant that actually in sort of historical terms, the bill will be known as the great big beautiful bill?
Yes, and by the way, in the first clip you showed, which was when they were getting along, at the end of that sequence, President Trump gave Musk a gold key to the city, and I suspect that Trump is now changing the locks all over the place.
Yeah, and he talks, and he's a great one for referencing the kind of the small, I suppose, micro criticisms, like, and we asked him if he wanted some makeup for his black eye.
That's right.
Really fascinating.
But I tell you, this is a situation where both of these men actually have something to worry about the other. In the case of President Trump, remember that it was Elon Musk's $250 million contribution to Donald Trump's campaign that really did help him win some of the more troublesome states, and more importantly, some of that money went to win congressional seats for Republicans. And if Musk decides to take his money and go home, so to speak, that is going to be a problem, if not for Trump directly, then certainly for some Republicans at the midterm election point. But then as for Elon Musk, he's got a lot at stake in this breakup as well. He's got numerous government contracts, which President Trump has now suggested he might make null and void.
Right.
He has a spaceship that is used by NASA to ferry astronauts to and from the space station, which now Musk is saying he is going to, in effect, take offline. You've got Steve Bannon, who, as you know, is a big supporter of President Trump, who's suggesting that Trump take over SpaceX. I'm not quite sure what the authority would be to do that, but take over the company so that that doesn't happen. This is a total mess.
Yeah.
And as I said at the beginning, you know, in terms of a tabloid type story, a sensational type story, I don't think you can beat this one, can you?
No, I don't think you can. Charles, good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. It is a fascinating story. The front page of the Times today, Tom. Musk Epstein jibe signals the war with Trump. The war of words sort of escalated yesterday after the friendly press conferences that they've had in the past have all melted into insignificance because basically he accused the US leader of appearing, in his words, appearing in the Epstein files.
No, absolutely. And this is really the point at which Elon Musk seems to have salted the earth behind him.
Yeah.
And this is a really out there allegation. He didn't present any evidence, of course. But Elon Musk, you know, he's given to the odd conspiracy theory, and maybe this helps. It makes sense to him why Trump went in a different direction, whether it was on spending, whether it was on certain appointments that Musk was quite keen on. There were some key moments in which Trump decided to go the other way. There have been these kind of two factions within the White House vying for attention, vying for the president's ear, the kind of more populist, sort of working class kind of J.D. Vance faction, and the kind of more tech bro, libertarian, preoccupied with questions like the national debt that Elon Musk was a part of. And I think that has now just kind of spilled out into the open.
But there's no
quite
secret.
Spectacular fashion.
There's no secret that Donald Trump knew Epstein, as many people did, because in fact, as we saw just last week, Peter Mandelson wasn't very happy when he was asked by a Sky reporter, you know, why did you go and spend time at Epstein's house when you knew he was a convicted sex offender, when he was actually in prison at the time? And he said, I don't wish to answer any questions about that. There are pictures of Donald Trump with Epstein, no suggestion that he did anything untoward. Elon Musk also, I think in the last week or so, has admitted that he spent large portions of his time while working with the president and in the White House on ketamine. And you're kind of going, this story's got everything really, isn't it? I mean, you know, here's a guy who is like one of the richest men in the world. He's just revamped his Tesla company, I think, for or an AI company. You know, it's capitalised at something like, you know, $630 billion. You know, he's so wealthy that you can't even imagine how much money he's got. And yet, he's this kind of crazy, cranky, kind of weird guy who takes drugs and has loads of children, and you know, talks about having threesomes with his, you know, his partners and all the rest of it. And he's now sort of shooting from the hip about the president. It is, as Charles Feldman said, it's the ultimate tabloid story, isn't it?
And he certainly tweets.
Makes reform look really boring.
No, exactly.
You know?
He certainly tweets like someone who's on ketamine all the time. That makes a lot more sense.
And there's the picture there of Trump with Epstein.
This is the thing about the Epstein issues, because of the fact that clearly there's a lot of people who big questions have to be answered about why they still continue to fraternise with him well after the point it was clear what he was up to. But because of the fact that the thing that Epstein did so successfully was to insinuate himself with very powerful people. And
that was what he was really good at.
Exactly, and to use that information against people in certain cases seems to be the suggestion. It's not a surprise that anyone who was anyone worth knowing is going to have had a photo with him at some point.
And with people like that, as you know, I mean, I've known people who are, you know, in very influential characters and have always got every sort of finger in every pie. One of the things that they do is they get their picture taken with lots and lots of famous other people, because they can then say to other people, you know, I know Donald Trump, there's a picture of me with him, I'll get a meeting organised with you, you know, that kind of thing. It doesn't mean that necessarily anything terrible happened.
No, completely, and that was so clearly the case here, and it seems like you know, they probably had a slightly friendly relationship than just one photograph taken on one particular occasion, but at the same time it becomes kind of never-ending at this point. There's so many people who Epstein managed to kind of cozy up to, or at least appear to cozy up to, because that was his sort of stock in trade in a way. So there's any number of people you could cast aspersions or suspicions on by dint of having some you know, loose connection to. So it's a never-ending kind of story in that respect.
It is.